Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Final Down NFL podcast with me, Jim, Punk Raider, and Denver Dave. We're here to talk NFL boys. How are we doing?
Never mind that. 1 week. 1 week. That's all it took for Finn to bail on us.
Yeah.
New
He's down
season,
already.
same old Finn. It's disgusting, isn't it?
To be fair, it's my holiday that's getting in the way of this. So, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. But yeah, Finn will be back relatively soon. But he has to get his breaks in. We'll be fine. There'll be several people on every pod. I'm making arrangements to cover off stuff.
Finn's the only person who has a bye week on week 1.
Pre-season.
Actually,
we're resting him.
Yeah, a few years ago, I think there was a couple of teams that had to have a bye week on week 1, didn't they? Because Thunder and Lightning, was it Tampa? Or was it Miami?
Yeah, it's normally the Florida teams, isn't it? Early season lightning storms.
Well, I've got his homework anyway, so for the main part of the pod, I have got his predictions that we're going to be doing.
How do we know that these are
actually
his predictions and not actually something that you've just cobbled together?
Because they'll be sensible.
To make him sound like he's got, a half a spicy take.
Because they'll be sensible and they'll make sense. So,
when I read them out, you'll know I didn't come up with them. Before we get to our predictions of all the awards that are going to happen at the end of the season, we're going to be doing some news quickly. First bit of news, actually, is the Washington Commanders, a team that likes changing their name, are getting a new name for their stadium. The team secured an 8-year naming rights deal with the Northwest Federal Credit Union, and their home will now be called Northwest Stadium. The stadium has been known as FedEx Field since 1999, but the company informed the Commanders before the end of last season it was ending the relationship 2 years before their deal was due to expire because there'd been an ownership change. FedEx preferred Dan Snyder, obviously, and they had the right to end the relationship by season's end. The new deal runs through to 2031. The financial terms were not announced, but one source said the average exceeds the approximate $7.5 million per year that FedEx was paying for the name. Washington is obviously looking for a new stadium at the same time, but the new deal doesn't include an option for Northwest to secure the naming rights for the future stadium. So they might have to rebid for that one.
I'm no expert in geography, but I'm sure it would have been more sensible to go for a northeastern rather than a northwestern.
Well, it's the name of the credit union, so they don't care. Owner Josh Harris, who bought the team a year ago from Dan Snyder and his ownership group, have invested approximately $75 million already in the stadium upgrades this offseason, ranging from improvements in food service to security entry points that will allow fans to get through the gates more quickly. It doesn't say which way they're going through the gates.
Yeah, but let's be honest. The one that makes a difference is, when you're in the stand and the thing's not bloody collapsing down onto the playing.
That would be nice. Yeah.
That's probably the bit they need to be looking at, rather than what pies and pints are they selling at half time.
And you're not being covered in someone's shit as well when it all collapses onto you.
They are looking to address various other issues for a stadium that opened in 1997 and typically ranks amongst the worst in the NFL in terms of fan experience. So, congratulations to Washington having another name change there and earning some more money out of the bargain. So,
also on a Washington front, the owner did confirm this week that they will not be going back to the Redskins. You might need to beep that. I don't know if that's an offensive word anymore, but he did confirm that will not be happening. But they are exploring all possibilities when it comes to changing the name from the much hated Commanders.
I understand how you get so upset about the name Commanders, but
it's just not a very good name.
Just a boring name, isn't it?
The Browns is better, is it?
I liked Hogs. I think Hogs was the best one.
What was it? The Red Hogs, I think, was good.
It was just Washington Hogs, wasn't it?
Yeah, Red Hogs.
Anyway,
Wings was one as well, wasn't it?
We did Felony Watch last week, and we did Retirees as well. So this week, we're not going to do those. I'm not going to do an injury report, obviously.
Thank God.
I want to just go through some of the big deals that have happened over the offseason, because there have been some massive contract extensions we haven't talked about because it's only our second pod back. So, first one, Tyreek Hill not only named the top player in this year's top 100 list, but the Dolphins restructured his contract to give him more guaranteed money with no extra years added. It works out to $106.5 million over 4 years with $65 million guaranteed. That's the most for a wide receiver in NFL history. Worth it?
Yes, for them, because if you guarantee the money, it spreads over the course of the entire contract. So it's a way of you restructuring the contract without having to actually officially do it, which means they can do it again next season and restructure the contract. So it's just a clever way of doing it. If you know he's your guy and you're not going to get rid of him, it's a sensible move to do. Cap gymnastics.
Jordan Love has signed a 4-year, $220 million contract extension that ties him as the highest paid player in NFL history. A $75 million signing bonus. He averages $55 million per year, that ties in with Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Worth
With
it?
the quarterback, it's all about the timing, isn't it? Every quarterback at one time or another will be the highest paid player in the NFL.
They sat him for 3
Not
years.
every quarterback.
Well, most of them. Most of
them. Is he worth it?
We'll find out this year.
Who knows? The first, I don't know the number, but the first 10 weeks or so, I don't know when it was he became good. But the first few weeks he was rubbish. Second night he was really good.
But the team was good, yeah.
He was good. He was much, much better. In those first 10 weeks, he was terrible. As usual, we did a Patreon to say, which teams are in the best circumstance. And I named the Packers last because they were going to tie themselves to a quarterback who looked absolutely useless. From then on, he was Patrick Mahomes version 2. It's incredible.
That's why you never, ever win the prediction league.
Yes. No, I won it the first year. Just since then, I've been terrible.
The Atlanta Falcons have given their 2020 first-round pick, cornerback AJ Terrell, a new 4-year deal worth $81 million that includes $65.8 million in guaranteed money. That's the largest guarantee for a cornerback ever.
He's a top five cornerback, so yes.
Yeah, it feels reasonable to me in this day and age.
And last but not least, Chiefs Pro Bowl center Creed Humphrey has reached an agreement on a 4-year, $72 million extension, including $50 million guaranteed. Humphrey now becomes the highest paid center in NFL history. Obviously not that hard.
He's the center. He'd have been happy if they just extended the buffet. So
a bit harsh. That's a bit rough. And also CD Lamb got a new contract this week, didn't he?
Oh, I didn't know. Yes.
Don't have the details, but it's a big payday.
It's about 130 over 5 or something.
Yeah,
I had that written down. It's gone.
Whatever the guarantees will be, will only be over the first 3 years as well, because they don't want to tie themselves to him. Because it's similar to what they did with what's his name? Went to the Browns. Amari Cooper. There you go. So they
it's basically the same deal, just a few more extra dollar signs on it.
Well, it's Dallas, so probably a few more extra zeros.
Well, yeah.
But no, they went and got Cooper for a first-round pick from the Raiders, and CeeDee Lamb was effectively a first-round pick. Well, he was a first-round pick.
He was a first-round pick that we should have taken when we took somebody else, but I can't remember who it was we took.
Who did you take?
I can't remember.
Rugs. Dude, we took Jerry Jeudy. How are you feeling?
Exactly. It was Rugs, Jeudy, and Lamb, and I said we should take Lamb. We ended up. You ended up with Jeudy.
Forget about all of that, because on the back of
Jefferson.
And I was going to say the Eagles then took Jalen Reagor, and sitting on the back of all of those with the Vikings going, "Yeah, we'll take Justin Jefferson. Thanks very much."
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
So,
never mind.
yeah, the Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb reached an agreement on a record 4-year, $136 million deal, which makes him the second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. The deal includes a $38 million signing bonus. That's the largest ever given to a wide receiver. But again, this is the Cowboys just shoot themselves in the foot, because they were always going to re-sign him. They could have done it months ago and knocked about 30 mil off that, I reckon.
It's difficult to know, though.
I don't know.
It's not, because they were going to sign him.
Yes, but it's also dependent on what happens in the future, because it might not necessarily be bad to do that now, because it's that old thing is if you sign someone for less money a couple of months ago, in a year and a half or 2 years, they're going to be wanting a new contract again. The fact you're giving them a big contract now might even tie them up for 3.5, 4 years. What will be. Either way, they've got themselves one of the premier wide receivers in the league, and he's going to be staying there for them. So that's a massive bonus.
Look, CeeDee Lamb had a number in his head that he wanted to get to.
Yeah.
I dare say Dallas have got there. So,
yeah. And there's no state tax in Texas as well. So, ching ching.
But there are other taxes he's getting hit by.
There's a lot of taxes.
But he's not been he's been holding out. So he's not been involved in the team practices. We'll see how he is for week 1. Anyway, those are the big contract extensions. I'm not going to leave it there. We're going to move on to the main part of our pod for this almost final preseason. And we're going to be looking at our predictions for who's winning all the awards at the end of the season. Last week, we predicted every single team's finishing position at the end of the regular season. We're going to double down now and give our predictions for MVP, Rookie of the Year, on offense and defense, all those awards that you usually have to wait months and months to find out. We're going to tell you now. So, like I said, I've got Finn's here. I've got mine here. I dare say Dave and Punk have theirs there.
Yeah.
So let's go through it, shall we? Where do you want to start? Dave, you usually like taking control of these things.
Yeah, I always make sure I come first. Right.
Yep.
MVP, Patrick Mahomes. Sorry.
Okay, we're diving straight into MVP, are we?
Yes, diving straight into MVP. He's the best player in the NFL. He's won 2 Super Bowls in a row. I don't think he was MVP. He wasn't MVP last year.
No, that was Lamar.
Usually, if he's in the Super Bowl, he doesn't get MVP because he gets Super Bowl MVP. So,
but by the time
they play it very cunningly.
No, because by the time the MVP is actually released, things done for it by the time the playoffs come in. So whether he's in the Super Bowl shouldn't have any bearing on it whatsoever.
Don't be silly, Dave. This is the NFL. It's all entirely.
It's announced well before the Super Bowl.
No, it's not. It's the honors are announced the night before the Super Bowl.
Yes,
basically.
But all of the voting is done well before that, and they announce how many players
see the voting and who writes on the piece of paper.
You get to see how many votes are done. I believe the NFL is fair. I believe it's a democracy, and I believe it's transparent and straightforward. Are you suggesting otherwise?
That your team doesn't get screwed every single year.
I got to vote early and often, so I enjoy that procedure. Punk, who are you going for then for MVP?
Unfortunately, I have to put a second vote in for Patrick. Yes, I've put him down as my MVP for this year. Main reasons, because I don't think Lamar's winning it 2 years in a row, and I think a quarterback that doesn't win the Super Bowl should probably win MVP.
Spoiler alert!
Well, teaser.
As much as I'd like to build up the tension, all 4 of us have gone for Patrick Mahomes to win MVP this year. It'll be his second, so it'll draw him alongside Lamar and Rodgers. It's been a few years since he's had it, and the NFL need to remind the general population that who their star boy is.
And he was only number 4 on the top 100, so
there's insult there as well.
You can't have that, can you?
No.
I think what's more likely to do it is you bunch of muppets with you bleeding Kermit the Frog thing that you're going to annoy.
Yeah, well done, Punk.
Thanks for that.
Winding them up.
He's all right. He gets wound up anyway. It's fine.
He's doing behind the back passes now, thanks to you.
He was doing behind the back passes years ago.
I told you that was a mistake. He was running and let go of the ball. Didn't mean it.
You wish, Dave. Right, let's move on then. That didn't generate much conversation. So surely we'll start deviating soon. Go on.
Yes.
Defensive Player of the Year?
So, Defensive Player of the Year. Okay,
I said Offensive Player of the Year.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Internet. Offensive Player of the Year. So, I didn't want to choose Mahomes. If Mahomes gets MVP, he should, in theory, get
Offensive Player and MVP.
That's the thing. You should, in theory, get MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, but I'm not going to have that.
The way it normally works is that a quarterback will win MVP, and then the best other position player will win Offensive Player.
Yes. So, I was having to think about who's going to be the biggest impact player for a good team. Because I think that's important on Player of the Year, not so much in Rookie. In Rookie, you can play for any old crap team as long as you have a good good impact. I think it'll be fine. I can't get past Christian McCaffrey, apart from the fact his workload for the past few seasons has been really, really high. So then you're looking at players who are going to see a huge amount of the ball. And again, we've already mentioned him on this podcast, CeeDee Lamb. So I'm going CeeDee Lamb because he is the only target for the Cowboys, really. Jake Ferguson's the other tight end, and I can't think of any other wide receivers that they've got. Turpin, a couple of others. But if you look, I don't think one of the reasons I'm saying this is I think CeeDee Lamb. Well, I think the Cowboys are.
Brandon Cooks.
Is he still playing?
Yeah. I thought he was in the right last year. Actually, Brandon Cooks. He was about 1,000 yards and 6-7 touchdowns.
Yeah, but CeeDee Lamb was like 1,600 last season.
I mean, the one thing I'll give you with CeeDee Lamb is there's no running game, so
no,
and he's going to be chuck the ball at him.
I think they'll be behind, and there's going to be, Dak's the king of garbage yards, and I think when you actually look at Dak's passing yards, sometimes you think, where the hell was that? And most of it's going to be in CeeDee Lamb's direction. So I think he will be, we'll come on to this later on, a receiving leader potentially in terms of yards, but I think he'll have such a massive workload that I think he'll also get Offensive Player of the Year. And he'll carry favour because he's a Dallas player as well.
Where are you going, Punk?
Interestingly, I have gone for the same position. So I also have a wide receiver on the list, which is unusual because normally I would say an offensive player is normally a running back. I agree with your McCaffrey comments. I think his workload over recent years and the 49ers, I believe, are going to take a bit of a step back this year. So I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they have been previously. I really like what's happening in Detroit, and I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is ready to kind of pitch his pitch his credentials to us all for being in that top three wide receiver conversation, along with Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. Now, Justin Jefferson obviously maybe is going to have a bit of a down year with Sam Darnold throwing at him. But I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be my offensive player of the year. I think he's probably going to smash 1,500 yards, and I got a feeling he'll be well into double-digit touchdowns as well, because I think that Lions offense is just going to purr like a Ferrari engine. I think it's just absolutely set up for him. Yeah, I'm going Amon-Ra for my offensive player of the year.
Nice.
2 points. I disagree with you, but I hope you're right. That's the first point. I really hope you're right because I'm a massive fan of his. The second thing is we mentioned about number of carries for McCaffrey. So 2020, 59 carries. 2021, 99. And then since he's gone to the 49ers, 244 carries in 2022. 2023, 229 carries. Yeah.
You're going to hit a wall at some point.
I think he already probably has. Apologies. Carry on, Jim.
Well, Finn's gone for Christian McCaffrey because he won it last year. So he's just
Safe
gone with the same one. Very safe. I'm going for CJ Stroud as offensive player of the year. I think that I agree with you about Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's going to have a great season. I think that CeeDee Lamb's going to have a very good season. I think that Christian McCaffrey's going to have a decent season as well because he can't help himself. But I also think that CJ Stroud's going to at least do as well as he did last year with a couple more games that he didn't miss through. Doesn't miss for injury this time, hopefully. I think they'll win the division, as I said last week. So I think that he is one of those guys that, although they can't quite give him the MVP yet, I think they want to kind of tee him up as the future of the league, one of the faces, and I think that he'll get enough votes for what he does in the postseason as well. I think he'll get the nod for offensive player of the year.
I don't hate the pick. I just wonder whether the NFL will go quarterback.
They have done before.
Awards. Yeah, but it doesn't happen very often.
If they're going to go quarterback, CJ Stroud is a good shout because I don't think what you have to have if you're picking a quarterback is he can't have a dominant receiver. So if it's going to be, I'm thinking Justin Jefferson. So if it's Sam Darnold, don't laugh. If it's Sam Darnold, though, the majority of his passing yards are going to be Justin Jefferson. So therefore, you're going to go, well, let's give it Justin Jefferson then.
Yeah.
But when you look at CJ Stroud, he's got so many weapons. That you think actually,
well, he made Nico Collins a top 10 receiver.
Nico Collins, Tank Dell. They've got matey boy from Buffalo, Stephon Diggs. So you've got lots and lots of different weapons there. So CJ Stroud is the outstanding candidate at the Texans. So yeah, I think it's a smart pick. Oh, I can't believe I said that. I feel dirty.
Right, on to defensive player of the year. I'll go first. I'll give you Finn's actually first. Punk tried to hide your arousal, but Max Crosby is his pick for defensive player of the year.
Correct answer.
Not sure how you make that out. I mean,
well, he's been
knocking around
4 years. He's been top of the QB rushing stats, and he's certainly been in the top 4 for sacks most of those years as well. I mean, pass rushing is always a tricky category because you've got, Myles Garrett in there, you've got Micah Parsons, you've got some bloke in Pittsburgh who keeps getting injured and
keeps getting the most sacks out of anyone every year,
all the time. But yeah, no, I think it's very possible, not just because of what he produces on the field, but also what he does in the locker room and what he does off the field. So actually, there's 2 votes for Mad Max Crosby because we've also gone Mad Max for Defensive Player of the Year. So there we go. Finn and I are on a good wavelength this season.
You're nursing a semi already, then, Punk.
Absolutely.
All right, I better throw something in here. I'm going to go for Josh Allen.
Well, What, the quarterback for
Josh
Buffalo?
Hines Allen. He's got so pissed off with the other Josh Allen. He's now got called Josh Hines Allen for the Jags. Had 17.5 sacks last season, so he was second in sacks, 33 quarterback hits, 7th pick in 2019. He just got a new 5-year, $141.25 million extension on this deal. So the Jags have shown that they love him, and I think he's going to push on. I think the Jags going to have a good season. Might not quite make the playoffs under my way of thinking it, but I think he's going to have an outstanding season. So, and it's usually a pass rusher. The last time it wasn't a pass rusher was 2019 with Stephon Gilmore, I think, was the last time a non pass rusher got this award. So I looked at that and went, okay, let's go for Josh Allen. Cool. Dave?
What?
You haven't given your pick for Defensive Player of the Year.
I have.
Who?
What?
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right,
TJ
okay.
Sorry. So let me explain my thinking, right?
What's on second?
You like that though? Come on.
Who?
You're both smiling, aren't
you? Who's on second? What's on third?
Oh my God. Yeah, all right,
so,
okay.
Russell Wilson is going to be 3 and out.
Yeah.
TJ Watt is going to play more snaps this season than he's done in his entire career.
Yeah, but you can't pick him for that very reason, because it means
yes,
he'll
I
break
can,
down by
did.
week 5.
Nope.
He'll be out and done by week 5.
Yes, but by the time we come to week 5, TJ Watt's going to have 37 sacks. Do you know the problem I've got? The problem I've got with Max Crosby, in terms of numbers, I think he'll get a lot of sacks this season because there's pressure coming from everywhere. I don't think though his sack numbers are going to be crazy. TJ Watt hits nearly 20 every season, and Max Crosby is going to have to get in and around those numbers. You're going to have to forgive me because these numbers might not be exact, but I think last year Max Crosby got like 13 sacks. The year before he got 12. The year before that he got 7. The year before that he got 8. So his numbers have never been massive. His pressures have. I'll give you that.
That's what I think will work in his favor this year. I think it should be more around the all-around game rather than just the
pressures. Don't make offensive player of the year though, or defensive player of
the year. No, they
don't do that.
Player of the year.
So they don't make defensive player of the year. I think this season Max Crosby might get under 10 sacks because no. Hear me out though. Because
have you seen your offensive line? He'll get 10
because no. Because I think there's a good chance he'll get below 10 is because a lot of his sacks, because the Raiders' defensive line is so good that a lot of his sacks will count as half sacks because he'll take someone down as well as someone else. So his actual sack numbers, I think, will be huge, but they'll count predominantly as half sacks because it will be him from one side, Christian Wilkins from another side, and when you take a quarterback down together, it's half.
Other side.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's going to be the other. It's going to be the other fellow. I can't remember what it was.
So I think third of a sack.
I think it will be, so it'll be 0.22 of a sack.
We'll see. We'll wait and see.
I think there's a good chance he'll have more shared sacks than anything. And Osia Manura used to hate it when he used to get a shared sack because you take a guy down and someone else from the other side just lays a glove on the dude and gets half a sack. Yeah. So I think I think if you take sack instances, it will go up enormously, but there'll be a lot of shared sacks for the Raiders this season.
Much complications have given the defensive player of the year as far as I can see then. They're not out and out sacks then. Josh Allen. Let's go on because we're going to be all bloody night if we keep this up. The offensive rookie of the year.
I've gone mad on this one.
Go on, Punk.
Jaden Daniels.
That's not mad.
It's too obvious to be Caleb Williams. I don't see a lot else going on. I quite like the look of Jaden Daniels. So I'm going Jaden Daniels.
My name's Punk. I'm being controversial by picking one of the best rookies and not being at all controversial.
Pick out in the draft. Yeah.
Look, just be grateful I didn't pick Drake May. Yeah,
Mr. Underdog. Yeah. Well, again, you're not alone because Finn's picked Jaden Daniels as well.
See, that's why I said me and Finn were on a wavelength this year, man.
It's not a good thing.
Dave, who are you going for?
Bo Nix.
Oh no, really though, who are you going for?
Just listen, just accept it and move on, will you?
You're not actually going for Bo Nix.
Your own quarterback.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And it requires absolutely no explanation whatsoever.
It might do to your psychiatrist. Well, I'm going with the really boring one of Caleb Williams because I think he gets the Bears into the playoffs for the first time in a decade or something.
That's fair.
He actually will be very good for them, get them the 3 or so wins that they need to make it into the playoffs in the
I'll
NFC.
be honest, initially I had Caleb Williams as well, and I thought someone else is going to have him. It's really boring. Pick one of the other quarterbacks. I wasn't picking Bo Nix because, my God, Michael Penix starting. Drake May's Drake May. So that left me with Jaden Daniels. Although I maybe could have gone with Sam Darnold. He counts as a rookie, right?
I would have picked Daniels, but I don't think the Commanders make the playoffs, and I think that'll be the deciding vote basically on it. But I think hopefully Daniels has a very good year. So defensive rookie of the year. Dave?
Terrion Arnold.
Okay.
Now, the reason for that, so anyone who doesn't know, he's a cornerback, plays for Lions. The reason I say that is because I think he's part of a unit that's incredibly talented. He's got Brian Branch playing safety next to him. I think he's part of a defense that generally is going to be playing ahead. So there's going to be a lot of balls heading his way. I think he's probably going to be with the number 1 receiver, so he's going to be targeted. I just think he's incredible, and I don't see any downside to him. I think he'll adapt to the NFL. I think his footwork's fantastic. Most players don't get separation either through acceleration or deceleration. I just think we will see a number of instances. This is probably more accurate than him being defensive rookie of the year. We'll see a number of instances where a play made by him will be the highlight reel when they say, so the Lions won so-and-so today, because he will be the game finisher. It's like whenever you see a baseball game and it's, the Mets won this game, it's always the relief pitcher at the end who only threw 7 pitches who actually wins the game. He's the one who gets the headline despite the fact he didn't pitch for 6 innings. So I think Terrion Arnold will be a big weapon, and by the end of it we'll go, Jesus Christ, he's bloody good, when actually he's the headline grabber more than anything.
Punk?
I did think about Terrion Arnold, and then I suddenly remembered that I just like defensive ends and
standard
and stuff. So I went Byron Murphy. I think Byron Murphy on that Seahawks defense will be quite good.
So something's going on here because Finn's also picked Byron Murphy.
But he's just done the Homer thing. I'm telling you, man.
Did you have a meeting before
on the same wavelength this season? We really are.
I mean, you're on the right wavelength because the front 7 have taken this award the last 4 years. So despite what Terrion Arnold might do at the end of a game, that doesn't matter when it comes to these awards. And I learned from Jalen Carter that no matter how good you think that defensive interior guy is, they just don't get the award. So I looked on the outside. I'm going for Latu for the Rams. I think that he's the kind of explosive guy off the edge, which people go, oh. So I think they'll probably look at that and go, oh, shiny.
He'll also get that. How are they coping without Aaron Donald?
Yes, he'll pick up a lot of sacks. They have not had for a long time on the outside.
Apart from the fact he plays for the Colts, not the Rams.
Oh, Colts then, sorry. All right, even better.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Don't forget Aaron Donald.
Forget Aaron Donald, DeForest Buckner.
The reason you thought it was the Rams is because I was banging those drums so hard
you wanted
to go to the Rams.
That's right.
As the replacement for Aaron Donald.
Yes. So the Colts were the clever ones that took him.
I agree.
Oh, he's in Indianapolis. He's not getting anything.
Well, I agree that he's incredibly talented. That the star, not having the star on your helmet or the fashionable logo is going to play an issue. And I can't remember the last time the Colts won anything. It's probably Peyton Manning, to be honest. But
it's not a great class for rushers, though.
But what I will say, though, is that his injury record and the fact he's had so much of a long injury history means it's going to be difficult for him to get the snap count. But I agree in terms of impact. Yes, he will and should be there or thereabouts. But we all know the answer is Terrion Arnold.
Well, I just told you, no cornerback wins this award.
Doesn't matter.
Let's move on. I want to do the leaders now. So let's do rushing yards leader for this season coming.
I won't ring for this. I can't see beyond Christian McCaffrey for this one.
No,
I just think he'll even if he ends up injured for 2 or 3 games, I just got a feeling he's gonna run it into the ground again.
Okay, Dave, any advance?
So I had 2 names in mind. I'm not going to say who the other was. I'm going to go for a guy who spent a lot of last season on the injury table, but his team has dog shit quarterbacks, a good offensive line.
Javonte Williams?
No, Nick Chubb. So
he's on the pup
already
list.
out for the first 4 games.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Well, it shows what I know then.
Come
back to me why I ever think about it,
year. And look what ended up happening to him then.
I don't think I did pick up Nick. I don't think I did pick him last year.
You did, because you did the same as me.
No, maybe.
Well,
cool, Jim, you go and I'll have a think.
Well, you've got 2 seconds because me and Finn picked Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, well, there you go. 3. We can tap around McCaffrey if you want, but
yeah.
Russian leader. Do you know what? Okay, I am going to go for Najee Harris.
Okay.
Because you haven't got a quarterback who can throw it more than 3 yards, so I'm going to have to go for Najee Harris.
That's true.
Brilliant.
It's a true story.
All right. So the receiving leader in yards.
I can go first because I've already mentioned one, CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. Finn's gone with Jamar Chase. I've got no reasons why I picked any of these things. But, he's gone for Jamar Chase. I'm guessing with Joe Burrow back, hopefully healthy. I'm expecting Jamar to have a year like he had a couple of years ago. Before Punk says his, I went for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He finished 3rd last year, just behind Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb. St. Brown was averaging 94.7 yards a game, and I think that it's just going to get worse for every opponent, basically, this season. So I went for Amon-Ra.
Interestingly, I didn't go for Amon-Ra, even though I picked him for Offensive Player of the Year. I've gone for Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
So there we go. Last year. 4 different receivers there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The passing leader in yards. I'll go first. Jared Goff. He finished just 49 yards off Tua for top spot last season. You give him Jameson Williams with a full season as well. It's going to take the top off of defense with Amon-Ra St. Brown and everyone else. Jahmyr Gibbs catching out of the backfield. Yeah, I think that feels a bit of a no-brainer, really, despite not being the sexy pick.
No, it feels like a sensible pick to me. I've actually gone the other way. I've kind of, with your earlier pick of offensive player, I've gone with CJ Stroud. Okay. I think he will hit a lot of yards. I think, like you say, the weapons he's got, it's kind of similar to your Goff argument, really. I think, those two are definitely in the running for passing leader.
Finn's gone for Tua Tagovailoa, obviously re-signing, contract extending Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle's not gone anywhere, so
concussion,
same weapons. We don't talk about injuries here. Dave, who are you going for?
So last week I said that Buffalo were going to win their division, and they don't have a run game, so the only way they're going to be able to do that is by throwing many, many, many yards. So I'm going to have to go Josh Allen. Okay. Purely because he's also not the actual receiving. I was talking to a Buffalo fan. He thinks the receiving game is going to be much, much better now that Stephon Diggs isn't there, because he doesn't have to force it in one position and constantly look to go, right, where's Diggs? Where's Diggs? It's a freer, it's a freer, less forced offense, if that makes sense. It can just flow in any direction.
Focused offense.
Yeah. And I think it allows Josh Allen hopefully to be a little bit more sensible. But if they're going to have the success that I've predicted in terms of them winning their division, it's all on Josh Allen, and he has to put in some fat receiving yards. There you go. That passing was down with the kids. Yeah. Either way.
Okay. All right, let's go on to Coach of the Year. Always a prestigious award. Always really weird how they give it out to not the best coach normally, but the one that's had the biggest improvement. Who wants to go first on this one?
I will. Okay. The way I've spelt this, I should apologize in advance, but I've gone for Shane Steichen. I have no idea how to spell it, so I've just gone phonetic. Steichen? Reason being, I think if they keep hold of Richardson and he plays every game, people will say, look how great a job he's done with Richardson, and they'll give him the award. If Richardson gets injured, and I think their backup is Joe Flacco, I think they'll still be a playoff team because he's a phenomenal offensive coach, and they'll say, oh my God, how well he's done. Give it to Shane Steichen. So I think it doesn't matter either way. And he's the reason that at the moment the Eagles are so good, because they're still riding off his playbook. So, Shane Steichen.
It's a strong opener. Punk?
I've actually gone for something completely different. I'm going with Raheem Morris and the Falcon. I
Okay.
think the Falcons will make the playoffs. I think Raheem Morris will end up. Well, you'll hear that about that in my hot takes. But I've got, I've got Raheem Morris. Look, last year it was Dan Campbell because he instilled something in the Lions, and
And
you
you were right.
happening, and I
Yeah.
was right last year. I've got a similar kind of feeling with Raheem Morris this year. Um, he tends not to be a kind of Dan Campbell. I'll shout at you and you'll run through a wall for me, but he's just a very kind of speaks quietly to his players, but they all seem to want to play for him. And I think the Falcons are a dark horse this year. I really do think they are going to cause some interesting games and interesting things to happen late in the season. So yeah, I'm going Raheem Morris.
It's a division that's ripe for the picking.
It is. It is.
And
I
no
was, I was,
guesses
I
for
was
knowing who's
looking.
Finn picked for
Is it
Coach of the
Raheem
Year.
Morris?
Yeah, of course it's Raheem Morris. Yeah.
I
You
was
two be
looking.
studying each other's papers.
See, I was looking to say because I was hoping after you saying Raheem Morris and they were going to tear it up, that I was going to look at your predictions from last week and you had them finishing second, which you haven't. But Finn
No.
has, so he's got Raheem Morris as Coach of the Year, but the
Yeah.
Falcons not winning their division.
No.
Has he really got Raheem Morris?
Yeah.
That's
How?
amazing.
Well, he's not here to defend himself, but I don't know. He didn't tell me. He just sent me the
Well,
list.
I genuinely haven't spoken to him since last week's pod, so I've no
On
idea.
everything. Well,
I mean,
I've gone for the.
you two have got a match at the moment. You've given 9
Mhm.
picks and 6 of them are the same. Wow.
No.
Well, I'm going for someone that I think is going to win the division. That's D'Amico Ryans. 10-7, his very first season as a head coach. Won a playoff game. I think the Texans push on with more wins this year, at least 3 more wins this year in the regular season. And I think he'll have a better run in the postseason as well. So for all those reasons, I think that you can't deny what D'Amico's done. And I think they kind of missed out on last year because of Dan Campbell, but I think this year will be a makeup award for him. He deserves it. For the sheer turnaround, when you expect turnarounds to take years and years, this one's been pretty quick.
I
So
think
that's
he's
my
in with a shout. If even if the Texans do what they did last year, I think he's in with a shout. As long as they don't regress at all, which I don't see,
no.
then he should definitely be in the conversation.
All right, 2 interesting awards coming out now. It's the Breakout Player. So this is not a rookie, but this is someone that we think is going to. Well, it could be a rookie, I suppose. Someone that's really going to take the league by storm. So, Dave, we'll come back around to you.
I wanted to, I'll be honest, I wanted to give it to Christian Gonzalez because I think so anyone who doesn't know, he's a cornerback. You may not have seen much of him. He may well be the only bright spot of the Patriots this season or indeed for the next decade, but he is incredible, like properly incredible. But he got injured after about 3 weeks last season. I think he's so good, but I don't think breakout player. And the way that we're going to judge this, by the way, is in-house. All 3 of us are going to sit here and go, how does that feel? So one of the 4 is going to be the right answer. I don't think with any kind of salience of success, I don't think it's going to be a cornerback. I think it's going to be an offensive player. So I think I am going to go for Anthony Richardson. Now, the reason I say this is I get that was he a first round pick, Jim? You'll know.
Yes, he was 4th overall.
I get that he is, and I get he had 4 good weeks, but he hasn't broke out yet. He hasn't proven that he's a quarterback. He's proven he's athletic. He's proven he's dynamic. He's proven he's really, really positive in the way that he plays, but he needs to prove that he's a quarterback. And I think he has that ability to just break out and prove he's the guy. And I think he's in the Shane Steichen system, which will allow him to thrive and do that as well.
Cool. Punk.
I also have Anthony Richardson down.
Oh, excellent.
For many of the reasons that Dave's already pointed out, to be honest. I think he was unlucky last year. I think, you can look at this year as almost his rookie year, but he looks like a player to me that even though he didn't play a huge amount, has learned a lot. So I've got a feeling that he is going to make a really big impact on the Colts this year. And I think generally in that division, if they can pick up enough wins, they could sneak a wild card. They almost did it last year with
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew at quarterback. So there's no reason why they can't do it with Anthony Richardson. But yeah, I think Anthony Richardson's the one. If I had to pick another, and I dropped this one just because I thought he's been in the league too long to really be considered breakout, it's Kyle Pitts, because he's never really done it at the Falcons.
I think that's fair.
I think this season is a season where he actually could turn into that player that everyone thought he was going to be coming out of college. So, yeah, I've got two, but I went with Anthony Richardson.
Well, Finn's gone with, no, he hasn't gone with Anthony Richardson for breakout player of the year. He's got, we'll go through this in a second. I stayed on the Colts. I went for Adonai Mitchell actually for breakout player because I think he's going to be the target for Richardson a lot. I think he's going to be competing with Michael Pittman pretty quickly for most yards on that team. I think that he's someone that was kind of a little bit under the radar. People haven't really talked about him too much, but I'm excited to see what AD Mitchell does in that offense. So I went for Adonai Mitchell as my breakout player. Now Finn has gone for a guy that's number 2 on the depth chart at running back for the Bengals in Chase Brown. So I think he missed his entire rookie season for injury. So this is technically his first season of actually playing. But
in that case, if he gets one run for 5 yards, then technically
it could be a breakout. He's got to be Zach Moss for the number 1 role. I mean, it could work, but you know that was Finn's choice.
Deep cut. Well done.
Comeback player of the year. Now this went to Damar Hamlin a couple of years ago, just because he thought he should do.
Well, last year was Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, yeah, for comeback and playing well. I'll get this out of the way. Finn's gone for Anthony Richardson for comeback player of the year. So, because I guess he was injured for a lot of it, so he's coming back technically.
Yeah,
and of course he wanted to be as close to Punk as possible, so he went for Anthony Richardson for comeback player of the year, not breakout player of the year.
He obviously didn't get the right player of the year bit.
I'm going to go for Joe Burrow for comeback player of the year. I think he only played 10 games last year. If he plays the whole season, I expect him to be fighting to win the division.
Only played 10 games. Only played 60% of games.
Okay, but he's coming back and he's going to actually finish what he started. So
indeed.
I'm going for a player that hasn't played in about 18 months.
Aaron Rodgers?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold's going to have a bit of a Geno Smith year from a couple of years ago. And I think he's going to be all right. Thunder. He's going to be all right. He's not going to do anything great, but he'll be all right. Well, you stole my thunder with
back from being good to being in the way. When was he good?
Who?
Sam Darnold.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be good. He's coming back into the league, isn't he? From the wilderness.
All right.
So, yeah, I'm going Sam Darnold.
So I had a couple of options here. I was looking at Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think you can have a comeback player who's 2-time MVP. That feels a bit dirty.
Of course you can if he's MVP again.
I know, but I'm talking ethics, Jim. It doesn't feel right to say that he's a comeback.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah,
you're not working for it.
You know what I mean? I'm not having that. So then I was thinking Kirk Cousins, because new environment, he'll be big results. And the other name I was thinking, this was just for you, Jim. I was going to say Daniel Jones, just to watch you just burst.
That could be a great pick.
I didn't want to do that.
Amazing pick.
Wow.
So
it is an amazing pick.
I've gone for Sam Darnold because of what Punk said, and anyone else who wants to know, listen to last week's, because I've got the Vikings as a playoff team. Whatever. I think he'll be fine. The other two people I was thinking was potentially Kyler Murray. I forgot his name. Kyler Murray. Because spent a lot of the last season, I think was out with an ACL, came back like week 11, something like that. And the other player, I'm not going to go too much into it because you guys kind of already have. Tank Dell was out for a long time, looked really dynamic in the first few weeks of last season. Everyone's already said how good we think CJ Stroud's going to be and how good that offense is going to be. So I think he's got the possibility as well, but it's the whole shared receptions that kind of put me off. So yeah, Sam Darnold.
Okay. So we're almost finished now, boys. We're going to do our Super Bowl matchup. So of all these 32 teams, which two are going to be fighting out in the Super Bowl? Punk? Let's go for you.
Your AFC Super Bowl contender will be a bit bloody boring, but on the flip side, no one's ever done it. Only one team have ever got close to doing it.
Yep.
So
That's
I'm
49ers.
going 49ers got close.
91.
Well, the
Cowboys
Bills got
kind
to
of
Super
got
Bowl.
close once as
Well
well,
done.
but we don't talk about them.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl representing the AFC.
Okay.
And
for the NFC?
I believe that your NFC contenders for this year will be the Detroit Lions.
Oh,
interesting.
Okay. Dave, any advance on that?
I am gonna say that Jim should go next. That's my answer because I want to wait till the end.
Well, I have picked exactly the same matchup.
Okay, and of course Finn has.
Have you?
I've gone for Chiefs versus Lions in the Super Bowl, and Finn has gone for the Lions as well. So we've got a clean sweep so far in the NFC, but Finn thinks the Ravens will play the Lions in the Super Bowl.
Okay, so
Dave, what are you doing?
Both of my teams have already been picked. No. Both of my teams have already picked.
They's probably got like Broncos versus Chiefs or something knowing him.
So the Panthers, I think. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Panthers Vikings, yeah.
No, I think the Ravens are going to be in the Super Bowl this year. It just feels like with Derrick Henry coming in, it just feels like everything's coming into place, and this is there now. If we wait another year on top of it, it just feels like Henry's a bit older. I think he is on his way down a little bit, but that offensive line will really help them. I feel like it's the Ravens. I know you don't want to hear that, Jim, but I feel like it is. And I agree with the Lions. I thought it was a really hot take. I genuinely thought, do you know what? I'm going to go for Detroit. And everyone's going to go, you idiot.
49ers or anyone else, just the Lions.
Do you know the problem we've got with the 49ers?
I think they're coming backwards while the Lions are stepping forward. That's
the
problem I have with the Niners. And they've got so many players that are just hitting that cusp of breaking down and not getting the odds. You know, you think about Kittle, we talked about McCaffrey earlier. I just don't think they've quite got it in the gas tank to get over the hump.
And every year something happens to them. Every year a player runs on the field and gets injured. A player who, they lose every single quarterback that they've got, and their star weapon has to go and play quarterback for them.
They've got through to the championship game last season. They quieted a lot of those doubts now.
But every year something happens, and it will happen again. That's the
49ers used all their luck up in that championship. When you look at catching balls off helmets, and it was one of those games where you're just destined to get there. And I don't think they're going to have that luck this year. I think the Lions, for me, the Lions have sorted out the problems they had in past defense with Terry and Arnold and other pickups. I think the offense is just primed. I think there's not one weak area on that offense.
And they play like 14 dome games this season as well.
Yeah, and I just think everything's in their favor. I just really like the Lions getting there this year.
They've got a great running offense, a great running defense. Their offensive line is the best in the league by a long way.
I would love to have picked the Texans to play with the Lions, but until Patrick Mahomes retires, I can't really bet against him anymore.
That's a Super Bowl I'd love to see.
So someone needs to prove they can beat the Chiefs. That's the problem.
Yeah. I went last year thinking he'd get an injury or something and we'd keep him out, but it doesn't matter if he's injured. He's played through injuries before. He plays with no wide receivers. He just still gets it done. So until I see him not do it, I can't bet against him. Sorry.
The one point I want to make as well, Punk, I was a bit disappointed you didn't say the Jets, if I'm honest. Just because last week you were so high on the Jets.
Very high on the Jets. But I think the Jets are such a young team. The Jets to me are like the Lions were a couple of years ago. You can see the steps they're taking, but I'm not sure they're ready to get over into the Super Bowl. I think the Jets can go deep in the playoffs, but I don't think they can get to the Super Bowl. And the problem they will have is after this season, what do they do at quarterback? So I think you're right. I think the Jets are going to be, in the mix. But I just can't see beyond the Chiefs and the Lions.
Well, the GM's not exactly going to fire himself from playing quarterback, is he?
Well, no, exactly.
So I think he'll be fine for a while. But
so, Punk, out of the Chiefs and Lions, who's winning that game?
I don't think Kansas.
Is it going to be a 3-point?
Like I said, it's never happened before. It would be history in the making. But I'll be damned if it's going to happen on my watch. Lions to win the Super Bowl.
Do you know what? I would not want to be a property owner in Detroit City Center if they win the Super Bowl. Good God.
I am picking the Lions to win the Super Bowl. That's it. I think
Where is it this
year?
They're
ready.
Does that make it? We should ask that question really, because if it's not going to be somewhere too cold. But it was in Minneapolis not long ago, so
it's an indoor stadium.
Yeah, even still. Where is the Super Bowl? It's in New Orleans. There we go.
There you go.
No difference whatsoever.
In a dome.
Absolutely superb.
There you go. That's ripe for the Lions then.
Exactly. Lions in New Orleans. That sounds like a fantastic win.
As you've gone Lions,
I'm not beholden like you are. I'm going for the Chiefs. I'm being sensible.
I mean, it's still to be fair, it still would be history making because the Lions, never won it. So, yeah,
they've not been to a Super Bowl before.
No, not at all. So yeah, Lions, well done, congratulations.
Well, congratulations to Chiefs that I'm picking to win the Super Bowl over the Lions.
Because if you remember, I got this right last year as well, and won a fair amount of money on it because I picked the correct.
You picked the Chiefs
things last year, so that was last year. This is this year.
Okay. So in the alternate reality of the Ravens somehow getting to the Super Bowl, Dave, who's winning it for you over the Lions?
So as Punk said, the Lions are one of the best teams in the NFL. They play in a dome. They specialize in a dome. The Super Bowl's in a dome. So I'm going Baltimore because why wouldn't I?
So has Finn.
Yeah.
So NFC fails on all 4 counts as far as we're concerned. 2 of us have. Well, oh no, you split the Lions, didn't you?
He's got the Lions.
Punk's got the Lions. Yeah, his AFC West.
I'm not picking the Chiefs to do a 3-beat.
No, of course you're not. All right, well, so okay. So I honestly don't get it with the Ravens. I mean, you talk about one aging running back coming in through the door, but their entire backroom staff on defense has gone out the door.
Yes, but last week proved that you know nothing about your division.
Last week proved. Okay, all right.
You got the Steelers winning it, which proves that your opinion is none and void. You thought Nick Chubb was going to be
getting the most rushing yards this year.
It's only because
I know more about the AFC North, mate.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean say that you're correct.
Yeah, all right. Okay. So before we go, those are all of the awards done, but we've got something else to do before we go, very quickly. And those are our hot takes. So if we couldn't be nailed about the awards we've just given out, people can come back, clip this, and roast us for these hot takes we're going to be making.
Sure, we will. And also, by the way, I just want to say I did not appreciate the donkey sounds that you were putting behind me as I was talking about the donkey. I mean, it did make me laugh.
You better get used to that donkey sound, mate. It's coming thick and fast.
I told you, donkeys are amazing animals, so I don't mind being compared to them whatsoever. So go on, what's Finn's hot takes then?
We want Finn's first. All right, well, okay.
Let's do Finn's first. Get him out of the way.
His first one is that Kyle Allen's going to become the Steelers' starting quarterback due to Russell Wilson / Fields' injury or both getting dropped.
Sounds fair.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
Reasonable.
And his second one is that Derrick Henry's going to have sub 1,000-yard season.
It's not impossible.
If it's down to injury, maybe,
but he picked the Ravens to win the. He never gave me an answer as to how that would happen, because usually that's the one argument that Ravens fans have, or Ravens defenders have for winning the Super Bowl, is that Derrick Henry's going to be the difference. But he reckons sub 1,000 yards this season. I mean, I agree with him on the first part. I don't agree with him on them getting anywhere in the postseason. Busted flush. So those are Finn's too. Cool. How about yours then?
You want mine? I reckon, now this one's not particularly hot, but I threw it in because I liked it. Jaden Daniels is top 10 quarterback in yards. So on the passing leaderboard, Jaden Daniels.
Passing and rushing, or what, you just passing?
No, just in yards passing. He will be in the top 10 in the NFL.
I mean, that doesn't feel like a particularly hot take. If I'm
that's what I said. It's what I liked, and I threw in there because, it was to do with my other pick, but that's fine. You don't have to
carry on.
Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson will all go over 1,000 yards. So 1,000 rushing for Bijan, Kyle Pitts 1,000, Drake London 1,000. And my final one, and this is the one I really like, and I think I would hang my hat on this. Mike Tomlin and the Steelers will finally have a losing season.
Oh wow! A pox on your house then, Punk.
That's my hot take for the season.
Well, you threw in a third one there that really shouldn't have been said. I'll go
Jim,
next.
You go now. Yep.
Okay, so my first one is that Spencer Rattler will have more yards, touchdowns, and wins than Drake May.
That's not a hot take. Drake May's not going to play.
Drake May's starting the season.
No, he's not.
He's starting week 1. Apparently, he's the saviour after playing a preseason game where he didn't completely shit the bed. Spencer Rattler's not starting the season. But by the end of it...
Spanky Rattler to have more passing yards than Drake May.
Passing yards, touchdowns, and wins.
Okay.
That's not as easy as you think it is.
It's not difficult. I've seen Drake May play.
You asked some people after the last week about Drake May. So that's my first one. And the second one is that Caleb Williams will have less interceptions / turnovers in general than Jordan Love.
Okay.
Love had 11 last season. Most of them came at the start of the season.
Caleb Williams
is a rookie. So
got a bit of a fumble issue, though. You know that.
I'm adding in turnovers. So I think those are pretty
hot. Cool. So,
or maybe
I have gone mostly for touchdowns. So Jahmyr Gibbs, who is the running back for the Lions, will be the first person to get 20 touchdowns since 2006 when it was Dalian Tomlinson. No one's got 20 touchdowns in a regular season since then. So Jahmyr Gibbs to get 20
How many did Jamal Williams get then?
It's 18, 19.
Okay.
I can look if you want me to, if you want to know specifically. I don't know because I asked
thought he
ChatGPT.
got to 20.
It's saying 19.
Okay.
So there you go. Next one. So I've written this down because I didn't want to cock it up. Punk knows what this one is. And he gave it his full support as well.
Oh, here we go.
Why do you say that?
Go on.
So I think that the New York Giants quarterbacks will combine for more passing yards than the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterbacks. The silence is deafening.
I think that's very likely.
I think it's sensible.
Of course. I can't wait for the season to begin. You utter morons.
What's the problem?
Nothing. It's fine. So that was the pod. We're back next week with our preview to week 1.
Let's talk it through. What's the problem, mate?
I'm not talking to you about it. I'll give you I'm going to dignify it with the response that it deserves. Silence.
We'll see when I'm right.
We're going to be back next week for our preview of week 1. Finally, we get some proper football happening. Preseason does not count. Until then, check us out at patreon.com/finaldown for all of our stuff on there, podcasts and blogs and things like that. There may even be some new blogs from some members of the crew coming up. You never know. We live in hope. And also follow us on social media. All the stuff comes up on the screen there. But yeah, until next week. I've been Jim. That's been Punk Raider, and that's been Never Dave. Thank you very much for listening.